Hi everyone, if you're new here, I am Chaitanya. You're watching Chai with Chaitanya. This is a place where I talk about books, movies, and fandoms. So let's get started. So, the book that I would be talking to you guys today is The Music of What Happens by Konigsberg, and this is a beautiful book that I happened to read last year. In fact, I started it when 2 days were left to 2022 end, and I sort of thought that I would finish this, but I couldn't. So it happened to roll on into 2021, and I finished it just last weekend. And this is a book that follows two Mexican Americans in the 1980s. We have Max and we have Jordan, respectively. And we open reading into this book in a place where Jordan has recently lost his father. He and his mother are trying to set up the old food truck that his father used to have to make ends meet. And on the very first day, his mother is having a meltdown at the food truck. And it just so happens that Max is also at the food truck at the same time. And he witnesses the mother having a meltdown, post which Jordan's mother offers Max a position at the food truck to work. And Max happens to accept the job because he anyway was looking for one. And the next day, both Jordan and Max, these two gentlemen, are back at the food truck and they are trying to set it up. Both of them have absolutely got no clue. They have no experience of having run a business, let alone a food truck. So they are struggling and they are trying to navigate their way through. Initially, these two people do not really communicate very much because Jordan has his own fears. Jordan is one of those guys who is a little effeminate, and that is there in the book. I'm not labeling anyone. And he's a little effeminate and he feels very intimidated by Max's presence because Max is this very confident and always wears a smile, and he is a jock. He plays sports, he's well built, muscular. So naturally, Jordan feels a little overwhelmed, or he feels that he's not good enough, or why would a person like Max would want to talk to or be around with a person like Jordan. And he feels that he's just doing him a favor because he happened to overhear the conversation when his mother was having a complete meltdown, and how that this food truck that they are trying to set up is very important for him and his mother, because that will truly determine their future course. As if they do not make a certain amount of money, they would end up losing their house and they would be on the streets. So he thinks that Max is just there out of sympathy, and that sort of takes a little while for both of them to get into a position when they break the ice. And when they indeed break the ice and they both come to know that both of them happen to share the same sexual identity, which is that they both are gay kids, that is the time when things sort of takes a little different turn. And in a way that it also opens up possibilities for them to be a little at ease around one another, and at the same time also feel this added pressure because both of them happen to like each other from the beginning, or at least have a certain sense of attraction in a way. And now that they both know that each other the other person is gay, they happen to feel that whether the other person would like them or not. Now, this book, even though it feels all beautiful and amazing and very simple, it isn't. It has a lot of hard hitting subject matters which are dealt in a very sensitive and a very brave manner. And both of these characters have very difficult pasts and they have had a lot to experience. Uh, in Jordan's case, he has to play the parent to his mother because the mother has clearly not moved on from her husband's death. And she also has a problem with gambling. So she's also trying to get over her addiction, but it's not that easy. It is never easy with any kind of addiction. And at the same time, Jordan has to also take care of the finances. He has to go out and ensure that the food truck is running, which in itself is such a huge task. And on the other hand, Max is struggling with his post traumatic stress disorder, his nightmares, and his just problems around touch and sensation, because He was raped, and he had a very dark and a very difficult time with this guy who did it to him. And he is also questioning whether what happened to him was indeed rape or not. And he's looking for answers, and he's not sure who to reach out to. So, in a way, both of these people are very different from one another. And it happens to follow that whole trope of opposites attract. So, if you are looking for something of that sort, then this book is probably one of the best reads that you can pick up. And as they get to spend more time together working at the food truck, trying to make sure that they have the food permit, trying to come up with newer recipes, and just trying to, be out there and make it work, that is the time when they both get to know each other at a more deeper level. They get used to being around one another, and that opens up a lot of conversations between these two people. And these conversation leads to revelations, and revelations lead to confrontation of what they both are struggling, and they have never spoken about their personal struggles with anybody else. And they both realize that they both are very unique, and that opens up the possibility of seeing a future together. And they both start being there for one another, and from there on they become boyfriends, and the story just goes and gets better and better from there. Now, even though it keeps throwing multiple obstacles in their path, and they both have to face their very fears that they are not very sure of, and they do come out victorious. But how it ends and what happens in the end, or whether they end up together or not, is something that I would want you to figure out for yourself, because I would truly want you to read this book and experience the sheer beauty and brilliance that this is. Now, I also understand that this has some very difficult topics, so there are trigger warnings for rape, for sexual abuse, for gambling, addiction, and just grief, PTSD, anxiety, and all of these things in general. So be careful before going into this. Be careful that you're in the right headspace. And now I would be talking a little about the things that I really did enjoy about this book, and I would like to start with the characters. Now, this is a very character driven novel in general, and it alternates between the perspectives of Max and Jordan, respectively. And you get to follow both these guys as and when things are happening to them. And because both their struggles aren't really told to each other until the middle of this book, you truly get to know enough history about what they are dealing with, and how will they go about with this, and how will they overcome it through their eyes and through the other person's eyes. So I think that gives a very unique and a very beautiful perspective in general. Now, talking a little about the side characters. Now, this is the only place where I have complaints with this book. I did not enjoy them, honestly, and I did not find them to be memorable. And I have already forgotten their names, and I just read this book. I don't know why or what went wrong, because otherwise the characters and the way Bill has written both Jordan and Max is beautiful. The way he has worked on respective families are also great. But something about the friends on both sides of these two people aren't really that amazing, and the way that it should have been, according to me. Going back to the positives, I really did enjoy the way Bill has handled the difficult aspects in the book. They at no point become too much, or they overwhelm you to a point where you have to just put this book down. And while you can put this book down, because I can understand that for some people this can be very triggering, but I did not face that myself, and I felt that there was an equal balance of the good parts and an equal balance of the difficult parts. And that truly helped this book come out the way it did. Also, there are some very important discussions in this book, discussions regarding consent, and discussions surrounding rape. And both these discussions are very important in today's times, and they probably have always been. And it's really nice and good to see that a book is addressing all of this, which happens to be in the young adult section and the young adult category, because often we don't find rape and abuse being handled at this extent in a YA category. And even books which are in adult section, or let's say general fiction, even they don't handle it with the kind of sensitivity or the kind of commitment and the kind of maturity that this book has. And that truly is a testament for writing, and the fact that Bill is truly an author who knows what he is trying to put out in this world, and how to make conversations and how to reach to the audience that he is writing for. Um, Another thing that I really enjoyed about this book was the fact that it is definitely a very hopeful book. Another thing that I really and truly enjoyed about this book was the fact that the way homosexuality has been handled here is very positive. So, at no place do you find mentions of homophobia or behavior of homophobia from anybody in general. Uh, Bill has created a place in this book where I think homophobia just does not exist, according to me, and because there are absolutely no mentions or problems from any person for both these two kids, and why are they gay, or why uh, are they pursuing men. It's just a very positive book, and that I think is needed, because in order to break this whole heteronormative society, we need to normalize gay stories and LGBTQ stories in general, and not focus always on coming out stories, and not focus always the on the fact that there has to be a whole hatred that needs to be there, and somebody has to come out victorious. And while all of that is also important, I'm not trying to trivialize the importance of those kinds of stories, but I think that when you have a story which just is out there trying to be in this world where homophobia is just not there and homosexuality is just normal, I think that just sets up an example for the world that we are trying to achieve in the future. And finally, if I gave this book a 4.5 stars, and I really did enjoy this book, even though when it started, I was not sure that where it would go, but it instantly picked up in about, like, let's say 50 pages. So I would definitely recommend this book to anybody who is definitely looking for an LGBTQ read, or if you're someone who's looking for a diverse read, because this has diverse characters. You have Mexican Americans, and you have them in the 1980s. You have one person who's of color, and you have one person who's a white. You have LGBTQ characters, so it's very diverse otherwise. And also, if you're just a person who's looking for a very interesting read, if you're looking for a read that has both good parts and the bad parts, which is, like, let's say, has the romance but also is just not simply a romance and has some nuances and layers to it, then this book might just be the perfect fit for you, and you should definitely check this book out. So if you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, and I would be seeing you guys super soon, next week, that is, with another review. And you can always find me on my Bookstagram, or on my Gmail, or on my WordPress blog. All the links will be down below in the description box. Hope you're having a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.